Hi everyone. Today markets tried to go higher and they kind of pulled back mid-session, found a little bit of support and then rallied into the close to kick off this President's Day week. We'll see how it plays out and let's take a look at the charts and see if we can find some direction for the next couple days. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. Moving over to fear and greed, we finished at a 49 up from a 44, pretty decent step higher on the day. It was a little choppy during the session like we talked about, but overall pretty strong. Momentum neutralized here, strength still sitting in fear. It's been flat here for a couple of days. Breadth continues to kind of curve up. We saw mixed signals on the Friday, but continues to look good. Put call ratio rolling down here into extreme greed. Interesting, finally seeing an extreme greed through this most recent rally. Maybe we start to see a little bit of a pullback from there, but still plenty of room to the upside in my opinion. Volatility neutral here. Did spike up a little bit with the move today, and then safe haven demand. Regular fear stepping down just a little bit. Stocks and bonds have been pretty much in tandem there, and then junk bonds have not moved. Still sitting in regular greed. Moving over to the seasonal calendar, don't forget the first day was supposed to be bullish. We ended up getting a bullish day, and then into the expiration day for the Thursday, Friday options expiration, that is supposed to be a little bit bearish. So far so good. We'll see if this end of week bear move comes through. Moving over to the economic calendar here for the Tuesday, pretty much nothing. We do have President Trump speaking tonight, not expecting a whole lot out of that, but maybe we get some more tariff news. That could be interesting. For tomorrow, housing starts, building permits, 20-year bond auction, Fed minutes. Fed minutes could be interesting. Maybe they talk about when they are potentially going to cut. Right now, markets are looking for July, potentially September at this point. So it's pretty far away. Not expecting anything crazy out of that, but maybe we get a little bit of clarity on it. 20-year bond auction also fairly interesting, 4.9, pretty high there. We'll see if that continues to sit that high or if it jumps up over the 5% range potentially. And then for the Thursday here, you can see Philly Fed manufacturing as well as initial jobless claims for the Thursday, and Fed balance sheet, which continues to roll off pretty well below the 7 trillion range now. We'll see how much further down that can continue to sell off. Moving over to Max Pain. Max Pain right now, $5.99, still well below current price at $611.50. Total options, not a whole lot. Usually we see this number over the 4 million range. Right now it's not quite there. Put call ratio is still pretty high though at a 3.36. Lots of puts in the market here, so it's probably why we're seeing some rally through. 610 is a call wall. We're currently above that. We'll see if we can get to the top of the puts. That's like 613, 614, somewhere in there. So not a ton of upside left, but it wouldn't shock me to see this kind of hold between 605 and 610, which I guess would be a little bit lower from current price, but not nearly that low as the Max Pain price, which is a little bit over 2% lower. So slightly bearish here on this metric. Moving over to the charts here, looking at the S&Ps, you can see it was up about 1/3%. We tested that 610 level. We pushed right to the trend here. You can see it on the hourly. Pushed to this upper trend initially, pulled back, touched the lower trend, rallied back to that kind of mid-level here. Managed to stay positive on the day. All-time high close, all-time highs for the wicks as well. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish. So far looks good as long as it can hold 610.78. That's a bullish close. You do have a little bit of resistance that markets are reacting to. Maybe the FOMC gives markets a little bit of pause, but for now, we did pull back slightly, held support, rallied through, closed above 610, so everything's still bullish here for me. And then looking at the Tasty charts here, you can see we missed the upper band just slightly. The pullback did put us into bearish conditions just for a minute there. Now you can see we're rallying back towards your resistance, which is going to be just above that most recent high. Your current ATR trailing stop is going to be 613.26. We'll see if we get up to that level and reject or not. But you can see a huge amount of volume coming through on that last bullish candle. And so far we've continued higher into the after hours. So again, at worst, sideways consolidation. I'm expecting this to be a little bit more bullish here tomorrow, potentially, especially depending on what we get out of the FOMC minutes. Again, not expecting a huge amount, and so far this is up and to the right. Moving over to the NASDAQ, similar thesis here, gapped up, pulled back, touched the level, pulled back through it, and then rallied up right back above it to close out the day there. The close was 539.37. After hours, we are just a smidgen below that, just a couple of pennies, but as long as 538.28 holds on a closing basis, which is what we did today, then we should be in good shape. Momentum still bullish, RSI still bullish. We're definitely extended. We're pretty extended off that 9 EMA. You don't see extension that often, at least at these levels here. You can see last time we were this extended, we did pull back pretty dramatically, but that was off the back of DeepSeek and some tariffs in there. So far so good. Closed above the all-time high for the NASDAQ. We are back at those levels. We'll see if it can push these trends in here around the 544 area. And then if it dips back below 538, then I think 533 could be in play. You do have the 55 EMA as support in there as well at 535.19. But so far, again, for me, still looks relatively bullish. Then moving over to the Tasty charts here, similar thesis for the NASDAQ. You can see bearish conditions, trailing stop at 542.63, just below that previous level we talked about in the 544 or 545 area. Either way, pulled back, held support at the 34 EMA on the hourly, did throw some wicks through it, still held it on a closing basis. We're back above all the EMAs and SMAs on the hourly, so overall still bullish for me. Hit the upper band, pulled back to the mid-range, looking for this to push back to the upper band, which again is in that 543 area. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow. The Russell held up pretty well, about 0.5%. It's pretty much unchanged right up until the very end there. We pushed to 227. We're right in that zone there. 227.21 was the close, just below it a few pennies. But we held the level 226. That was the expectation. Closed in the middle of the range. We'll see if we can get the push to 229 or not. And then looking at the Dow, just barely positive 13 cents, really relatively unchanged. Still looks like a wedge, waiting to see which way this breaks. Right now the momentum is bearish, but the price action is bullish as it continues to hold that support. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft. Apple did sell off a little bit, just 13 cents, pretty much unchanged. After hours, it's up that 13 cents anyway. So unchanged if you include the after hours, still relatively bullish, still looking for it to push this trend here, especially after the retest around that 241.81 area. And then you can see Microsoft positive on the day. You have a little bit of a consolidation here now with a relative low kind of in around the 406 area. If it can continue to hold 406, maybe I need to add that as a level in here. That could be interesting. This is a pretty wide range anyway. You can see there are a few bottoms in here you could kind of work off of. It seems like this is the play right here. 405.50 off of that low here. Caught a little bit of a bounce today, about 0.3%. Still, you have resistance at 413. Maybe we get up here and reject again. Momentum's hanging in there. RSI, it's right there, right? So you have consolidation on the RSI just below the SMA, waiting to see if it can break through there or not. So far, this is holding up fairly well. I still don't like it that much. I still think 413 is your resistance, but wouldn't shock me to see just a little bit of a retest continuation lower into this zone. Moving over to Tesla and NVIDIA. Tesla down 0.5%, back below the level at 355.03. For me, that's bearish. Momentum still a little bit bullish, so mixed signals, not something that I like being involved in when you're getting mixed signals. The trend is also bearish. You'd be looking counter trend if you're trying to look bullish, but you could do it, I guess. I would probably be a little bit bearish, looking for a higher low setup here off of the trend potentially, and then looking at NVIDIA. Strong day here. It did go much higher initially, well above the 140.76 level, and then it gave a lot of that back, unfortunately, here. So you can see relatively unchanged, 0.4%, up only 55 cents. Momentum still bullish. Need to see it close above the 140 level. Also pretty wide ranging day. As long as it can hold support in here, we did get the gap fill. Maybe that's why we're rejecting in the short term. Structurally, pretty mixed, right? So you kind of have these high, lower high setups here, but in the short term, we're pretty bullish above all the EMAs and SMAs, a little bit extended now off of that 140.76 level. So that's the resistance. Want to see it get above there and hold and push to the next one. Otherwise, if this continues to be resistance, then you're probably looking back for that 130.35 level. Moving over to Meta. Meta finally sold off even a little bit. So we got down 2.76%. Pretty decent sell. Engulfed a lot of these candles. We're back to this kind of consolidation low from the 7th here through the 12th of February. This was bound to happen. We'd been talking about it. You can't just go straight up. We did go straight up for like 20 days in a row, which was crazy. Super uncommon. Now we got a little bit of a pullback. I would probably be patient here. Structurally, still very bullish, but it probably has a little bit of short-term down move in my opinion. Big breakdown on the RSI back below the overbought condition. I would look at least for the 21 EMA there at 685.75. And then looking at Broadcom down a little bit as well, nearly 2%. Momentum rolling down, RSI back below the SMA, so that looks a little bit bearish here as well. Either way, still in the same consolidation. Slightly more bearish today than it was at the end of last week. Moving over to staples and discretionary. Staples threw a big wick there to the 79.90 level, touched that level to the penny. That was the low of the day. If you bought at the level, you caught a really nice move there, up 1/3%. Obviously much more than that if you included the entire range of the candle, but really, really nice there, up above the 80.54 level, looking back for that 81.18 level. And then you got discretionaries continuing to sell here off of that previous candle. Momentum bearish, RSI bearish, looking for this to sell at least a little bit more. Moving over to breadth. Breadth did go higher on both of these metrics, so it looks much better there. Momentum stepping back to bullish. It's right at the SMA there on the 20. Want to see it continue back into this range here between 68 and 86, and then you got 50-day big up candle there as well. Right back to these previous highs. Want to see this continue through, break through here, and start to head back to that 68 area, 68, 66, somewhere in here. Overall, breadth continues to improve, and that should be bullish for markets. Moving over to the dollar here, you can see the dollar was slightly positive, back above the 106.84 level. We'll see if that continues to rally through to this zone here around 107.84. Momentum stepping back to bullish, RSI still slightly bearish, so mixed signals still here on the dollar. You can see medium-term trend still bullish, short-term trend still bearish. Held support here, we'll see if it continues or not. Daily chart pretty choppy. You can see rally up, retrace, held the level, rally through. Overall, this still looks pretty bullish on the short time frame. Moving over to bonds. Bonds sold just a little bit. I'll be looking to buy a little bit here tomorrow. We'll see how it goes, but for now, J&K still above the level, sold just a smidgen, just 6 cents. Not expecting this to move a whole lot. J&K has been quite stable for a long time at this point. We've been here since August of 24, and we are still here in February of 25 with just a couple of swings here and there. Overall, still relatively bullish here, still above all those EMAs and SMAs, so we'll see. And then looking at TLT, pretty decent sized pullback, 1.18% to the downside. Had yields rally a little bit in there. We'll see if that continues with the FOMC minutes tomorrow. Either way, though, I still think the low is in. I think the low is probably here, which is going to be 84.89. Anything above that, I'm expecting this to hold structure in here at some point. Momentum's a little bit bearish, RSI is a little bit bearish, but either way, I think this is going to be your low, and you can pretty safely buy in here for the medium to long term. Even if you do, and even if it does get below this at some point, there's really not that much lower it can go. 82.60, potentially just a couple of dollars lower. Remember, it's based off of bonds. 20-year bond auction comes in this week. We'll see if it can continue to hold in that zone. Either way, you're still getting a pretty good yield on these 20-plus year bonds. Moving over to the VIX. VIX did pop up a little bit off of that 14.7 level. We'll see if that continues. Momentum stepping to bullish, RSI still a little bearish. Probably going to consolidate in here. That's what I would be looking for at this point. Just a little bit of sideways choppy, still holding the 14.7, but not really swinging too much higher, which means we should get some wide-ranging days, but nothing major in terms of breakdowns, in my opinion. Moving over to my accounts, I did just fine on the day. I did end up rolling out here on the Qs as we broke that level, the 538 level. I rolled out here. It says 8 days from now, but it was really only 3 trading days because we have 3 days left this week, and then it's Wednesday next week. So just a couple of trading days there, 533 for nearly $10 credit, 957. So that gives me a little bit of room. Max profit there would be 542.50 or so. Gives me some room to the upside if we rally into next week. Or if we start to pull back into the end of this week, then I can still hold these and make some money to the downside. And then for the Russell, I rolled out here to 227 for 92 cents. Made money on that. Obviously, it did outrun my call just a little bit, but either way, made the money there, good shape. Rolled the call out for tomorrow, still looking a little bit bullish there. You can see it's down a smidgen after hours, 92 cents. Want to see that 226 level hold, and if it does, looking for that 229 resistance. Let me know down in the comment section what you thought of the markets today. Where are we going from here? Is it going to be price discovery over the next couple days, or is the expiration going to send us lower? Let me know. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.